She doesn't feel well, and she thinks if she comes now and she's not able to contribute to you guys, it's unfair to you, and therefore she would like to rest a little bit and get better, and hopefully join you guys tomorrow. And I said, most welcome. Who is actually Sylvia? Is it Sylvia from Berlin? Sylvia? Sylvia, show me yourself, please, for a second. Can I see your video? Can you show yourself to me? Show yourself. Ah, hi.
Hello.
Okay, I do know you.
Yes.
Yes.
2 years ago, Berlin.
Yes, I get it on. So most welcome. Sorry that you guys are invisible and all of that. And oh, by the way, I have now a recording of your room. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, because this program is automatically recording. We missed you guys here. It's nice to have this interaction. Okay. Anyway, thank you for that.
Okay, see you later.
Are you guys enjoying it actually?
Yes, a lot. Loved the last talk.
Yeah, that was nice, right? Cool.
Yes, really inspiring.
Hi, Carlos, and hi, Maite. And okay, so back to usual. I'm now checking in. Okay. Okay, so Louis is shivering actually. Louis is always Louisy, you know it. Helen is coming. Who are you admitting, Helen? Ah, you don't have the rights. Okay, let me give you some rights.
I'll get blamed this time.
Yeah. I give you some rights, just for the sake of it. Make co-host. And before I forget, I go to security. I allow participants to share a screen, and I close this one. And so let's wait for Senor Villa to show up. Okay, so hi Helen. Sorry that I couldn't ask your question yesterday to Thomas. I will let him know. I promise. You guys need to kind of be more punchy with your questions, because as you know, all good. We miss you guys here, and we have a good time. We are a very small circle of people, like Corona-friendly cycle. But yeah, anyway, and I'm not going to entertain you right now. You have to wait until Luis comes. Do you have an eye on the gentleman Villa in case he shows up? Yeah?
Have an eye on what?
Oh! I always drink also apology because I didn't ask a question. Oh yeah, but you answered.
Yeah, I answered.
Okay. So exactly. So as I said, Sophia waiting. If she feels better tomorrow, she will join. That's that. And on our top right now, Klaus and Emma, sorry to interrupt it, but then we can carry on and wrap it up during today and tomorrow. The Z is Rinka, and so Maite, we will have to then cut off Louis. Worst case scenario, 10 packs, but not much later because we need that time in between.
I'm not seeing anyone who wants to join.
No, it's all good. If I can't see because I don't have it open.
Just in case.
Yeah. So let's see what Luis will tell us. then right after Fernanda, and after that we sit together and do some consolidation of the concepts we have received. What are the, just for my sake of planning, do we have a common plan for dinner or a drink tonight?
We were talking about that.
Tell us.
No,
It doesn't concern you, right?
talking about it.
You were not having something specific in mind.
We were saying going somewhere.
Laura Bonelli.
Yeah, going somewhere near here.
Near here.
At least
Near
Mariano
here.
can't join us. Mariano can't join us. Dalia is not sure she'll join us, and the rest of us are pretty much small event crowds. So.
Not even for drink? But then who drives you back to see?
Yeah. I'll figure that
You
out.
can call him and
I am really working for her anymore.
you can call him and just
I understand. Sorry?
Luis is the
I
only
wrote him, he said, call him and say, hombre. Okay, you not. Yeah, Helen, Carlos, Lara, Sylvia,
Maybe he's under.
Maite, Jamshid, sorry that Ezrika, sorry that Luis is keeping us waiting. You know how it is with these superstars. They take their time. Okay, so no drinks, little food. Okay, so tell me where you go. I go and work at home. Fortunately, in my area, there are lots of small bars. Okay, I get it. Well, I mean, having a drink, I would have said, I love it. But those here is quite boring.
Oh, he says he can't get in.
Oh, that's a good excuse.
Oh,
That was like really like hard. Do you want me to resend him the invite? Or do you have the invite and you resend it to him?
I have it, and yeah, I'm sending it.
That would be awesome.
Really.
Tell him we don't believe you. Zrinka, we hear your papers.
Nice, Laura.
It's Laura, but I see Zrinka having the microphone on. But it's okay, since the Senor Villa is not there yet, you guys can make noise, you can show up and shake hands with our with your friends here. Show your faces, look how sad it looks like not seeing you. So each of you can, for a second, like all of you can switch on your cameras, send love to people here, while I go and check with Luis why he's like, you see, this is how it goes. Sexy people, hi. Oh my God, hi Carlos. Carlos, that you're not here, it's a real shame. Oh, Lila is there. How privileged.
Do we have to kneel?
Yeah. Damn it. Oh,
Hello.
hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes, not only we hear you, we are all on knees that you showed up.
Yeah, I'm a Satan, remember?
Yeah, I know. Well done. You made
No,
it.
I thought, no, the problem with Zoom, a little bit, just a second, because I have to close the door. The problem with Zoom is when you have a private message and you answer, suddenly you are answering to everybody. So it's not the first time that it happens. And normally, as you know, I'm not the typical guy that talks very seriously, no? So when you're in a more serious place, I always make my mistake. So hello, how are you?
Yeah, good. You're the
Should
only
be there, but this we call it bicho in Spanish. This bug has kept me here in Madrid. So Chapir, I'm very envious of seeing you there with the sun and the house, whatever. So how's it going?
Yeah, it is going well. We have like super interesting talks. I know you didn't manage to, when you were chalked out because you were Satan yesterday. And I think the Sandra, please. And today you didn't have time, so you didn't see the economy guy. I will send you the links to their videos so you can watch them later.
That's great. Yeah.
And today we basically are boxing ourselves through with content, gather insights. Afternoon we do some consolidation, and then tomorrow we do work throughout the day. If you tomorrow
That's great.
from your family, you connect to us, and I put you as a virtual coach on the tables.
Okay, I can take some time to do that as we talk about this through whatever. So WhatsApp. Yeah, great. So I'm closing some windows because as usual, I'm finishing the presentation yet. Because all of them are normally totally bespoke. So it's like part of my creative process, you know. So
permission, so you can anytime share your screen. And
yeah, I'm closing the.
You like.
Yeah, because I think I have some TDH or something. If you see my browser with all the screens open, you will make sure that this guy has TDH or something like that. A second. I'm closing the Chrome so we don't have the computer won't crash. Sorry,
No problem.
Okay. So I'm close here. So I'm ready. Okay. So
you know, at the bottom of the window, you will see the share your screen.
Yeah.
Option.
Just a second, because I want to see what is my keynote.
The sugar.
Actually, wait, you present. Yeah, put it there, closer.
There is a button now. There is a button.
Now people That's all right, sorry. Please don't look at the WhatsApp.
Sorry?
Don't worry.
I worry.
You're all at least in a group so that everyone else
Yeah.
Good. Luis, please focus.
Yeah, I'm opening. This is slow. Let's see if the connection works well. Come on. I have the wheel. Venga, hombre. So tell me something in the meantime. It's not opening. I don't know what's happening.
Okay, actually, I can't only tell the other people something while you're. What are you actually doing so that I know I can mentally then do something with the people?
Sorry?
What are you trying to do right now?
I'm trying to open the sheet. No, it's not opening. I don't know what's happening.
That was very helpful. Okay, so people, those of you electronically, yeah, he's opening the sheets. Something interesting in your absence, and most of you guys followed both talks of the Ducano people and Thomas yesterday. And maybe a few of you remember in the last session we had together, I don't know who else was here among those guys out there, so maybe no one. But in the last session we had, including this time, we came to the conclusion that if I look at this triangle of the conscious business, and there is the stakeholders, leaders, and culture, with purpose in the middle, we end up saying, okay, you know what, the only real solution is to actually start by the individuals and have the individuals transforming, because if they transform, everything else automatically transforms. Because those individuals are the employees and are the grade consulting. You know what? This what I'm just talking to you about, I will definitely text you about or make a video shot of myself and video shoot.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, that's great.
We have you now. We see you now. Beautiful. I leave the stage and I give it to you.
Okay, great. So the idea, Jamsit asked me to talk a little bit about consulting corporations and all those things. The presentation is a little bit about my perspective of business, how I'm living through business in the belly of a corporation and in the belly of a consulting company, which is one of the biggest consulting companies in the world. No? So the idea is a little bit sharing a little bit what happens when a team or with a purpose scales and when the business starts to grow, what happens, no? Because sometimes I think we are a little bit naive and idealistic when we think about all this, that we will do the things better than most of the people. And what I see in many places that most of the people, when they start something, they start with the better intentions, no? And the problem is with growth comes abstraction, and with abstraction comes a disconnection, no? Comes alienation. You start seeing everything as numbers. You start not seeing the impact of things. The machine starts to eat in yourself a little bit. So you disconnect from nature, you disconnect from your family, you disconnect from everything. So that's the problem of big companies and very abstracted things. But there is a lot of good people trying to do the right things all the time. Many people know that they fucked up everything and they're trying to solve it. And I can tell you that there are more people than bad people. The problem is that when you get bad people on the top, that's the problem, no? But now I think we are in a very interesting moment as corporations, consulting companies, whatever it is, has this scale and abstraction, because society, investors, and many other people are asking for moving the needle a little bit regarding equality, sustainability, diversity, race, whatever, right? So a little bit is sharing a little bit with you my personal perspective. It's not a corporate presentation. I'm not talking in name of any company. So the idea is giving you like a little walk, no? through management, through patterns, through some ideas, no? And mostly for me, the important thing is understanding that corporations are not new at all, no? The pyramids, for instance, they started with they were big projects that were possible to make them through a scale, no? Through management. And the scribes were the people that were trying to take note of all the numbers, all the needs, or whatever. And also, people thought that the pyramids were built by slaves. They weren't. There was a lot of skillful people. Obviously, you had slaves from war, from prisoners, whatever, but mostly were skillful people. No? So you have the scribes managing everything to make this real. And with managers and without scale and the purpose of building something for the glory of Egypt and the glory of the gods, you wouldn't have these pyramids, no? Because as I said, most of the people were free, no? Then you had also in Assyria, Pusuken and Lamasi. Pusuken was a commerce man, and Lamasi was his wife. In Assyria, most of the business were run by women, curiously, no? And they were the first people to set up a corporation, a multinational. Now they have a network with different offices around the region, and they could sell and they could manage, and they have a special system of messages to coordinate all the actions. No? So here you have a network and management. No? Then you have also in China, Han Feizi. He was a guy that after the Confucian era, what he did was trying to build a bureaucracy so they can administer a big empire, no? And also create the rules, create a school for you have bureaucrats, no? And you have an elite that was in charge of administering and managing the empire, no? After many wars, no? It was a dictatorial because when you have a lot of chaos, normally you have or a rebirth of a totalitarian state that happens after many wars. No, you can have in Spain, for instance, after the Civil War, we have to put everything in order, and we had a dictator for many years, and he built a lot of bureaucracy, ministries, which he tried to rescue Spain from poverty. No, and obviously it's not the way, but it was thanks to that we have some of the good things, some of the bad things that we have now. No? So the idea was that there was an elite also trying to manage the empire. And he has 3 words. One was Fu, Sha, and Shi. One was the rules, the other one was the enforcement of the rules, and Shi was the performance. How do you know that the people are following the rules? How do you reward them? So it was also a huge system for management. No? And also you have in the Middle Ages, Saint Benedict in Monte Cassino, he was the first person to establish rules for building and running a monastery. No? And then you had a lot of, it started to scale, no? And have many others following the rules. Then the Cluny, the Cistercians order created their own orders. So they started to show how to run a monastery or abbey. Sorry, it's a Spanish word. And then having the people how to nominate an abbot, how to manage the numbers, when to pray, when to work, whatever. No, so it started to scale, and suddenly these people from the religious orders, they started to be hired by kings, no, in the courts. So you have also a part of management here in the abbeys, no? And finally, we have the Medici. No? It was a system. Giovanni Benci was the second or the right arm of Cosimo di Medici. No? Was the guy that designed the system and the way of scaling and managing a huge network of people and businesses that didn't know each other. So how do you make these people feel connected? Through standards, through rules, through rewards, and also a shared purpose. No? So the point is that when we think about management, we've been doing this since ages, no? And this is how more or less people start to organize. No? When it gets too complex, you have this situation. And finally, we have also the Sumitomo family. He was a samurai, and he started to build a mining business. He started to define some standards and started to grow and opening other mines, and also having a lot of people doing benchmark against him. No? So he created the Sumitomo conglomerate. No? So as we can see, we have different ways in different places, people from different moments in life building corporations, no? Building management techniques, no? To manage people in networks and through hierarchies. So the point is that when we think about corporations, we have to think that it's a natural part of the evolution of social organizations. No? After some organic growth, if you build a startup, for instance, Facebook, Google, whatever, once it gets some scale, normally it starts to appear a hierarchy. No? And there is some part that are networks, informal networks inside a hierarchy. But mostly when you start having a lot of people, you start building a hierarchy with classes, with power and dominance, with different cultures, no? And I think it's interesting because, as I say, sometimes it's my case. In fact, I must confess that I criticize a lot of corporations because they're boring, because they're bureaucrat, because they're alienating. But in the end, it's you feel it a little bit with compassion. It's a natural process. So the point is that when you have big corporations, when something gets too ossified, it breaks, and you have disruption. You have people entering. You have rebels internally. So the point is that it breaks. No, the hierarchy, when it gets too ossified, that it's not flexible enough, it breaks and it doesn't adapt. No? So that's why many corporations collapse. No? And the point is that these corporations normally start with a vision, with a purpose. Normally, generally is good. I think the humans are mostly good. Sometimes they get corrupted. Simply like that, in my view. And from the apparent chaos and complexity of the network, you have the stability and predictability of the hierarchy, no? And here, purpose and leadership is the glue that makes everything work and scale and also serve a lot of different people in a predictable way, right? So for me, the corporate purpose for me, in fact, I will say that to my colleagues in Accenture, that many of them are like Templars. No, it's about the sword. I'm always at war. The Bible, which is serving capitalism, efficiency, my clients, whatever, and celebrate. I don't have quality of life. I have to fly all the time. I don't see my family, but at the same time, I have good rewards to pay them. No, but this is over. I think this is not like this anymore. No, but anyway, I think it's interesting idea, seeing how many people build a relationship with the work. No, it's like as monks and soldiers at the same time. It's like a religion at the same time. It's like being at war. No, and for me, the Templars is a perfect example of corporate scale. No? It's a network because you have all these the Crusades territories, diversification and innovation. They have banking, they have a hierarchy at home administering everything, the castles, and also communication systems. They have an army, whatever. So it's a little bit an idea of what corporations, I think, more or less are now. No, this is more like Google. It's not the old monolithic corporation. It's a combination between a huge core with all the processes. Everything is very defined. A purpose that is clear. Sometimes the purpose, the lack of purpose, you can complement it with the quarter results. This is what many companies do, and rewards. But in the end, it's about this, God and profit, and also combining with the network and the other outposts, no, in the different parts. So you have a communication network with different people, exploring, creating new business, doing their mission, and at the same time, a huge core, which one was the responsible of keeping everything together. And for me, it's very important that it's not only human. I think if we see the laws of nature, there are two interesting books. One is Growth from Vaclav Smil. He's one of the favorite authors of Bill Gates. The one is Scale of Geoffrey West. And it talks from nature and sociology and many other perspectives, the problems of scale, no? and the benefits. No? That everything that has success, it reproduces itself and gets scale. No? And when the resources get scarce, the people or the members of the network start to fight for each other. No? So that's the moment that we are now. No? That we scale too much. I think we lost the contact with nature, with the purpose, because we are trying to survive, not to thrive. No? And we are not in a state of anxiety. No? And also COVID, change, China, whatever is not climate change, also is not helping us to focus and feel better how to innovate, how to be creative. No? And I think we have to combine the nature processes and also the sociological processes, no? Because a lot of people talk about corporations as machines, and now the fashionable thing is talking about living entities. For me, are social systems. Social systems have politics and have ambitions and have desire. It is totally different than a living entity, no? which has more or less a clear way of growing. No? So for me, it's very interesting to read these type of things because it humbles you, no? and you stop like pointing fingers to people, and you feel that the complexity is trapping a lot of people, leading a life that they don't believe in the purpose, not they're disconnected. So, but the point is that the system is so complex that it's very difficult to solve, no? And this is the moment that we are now, no? Trying to understand what we built and trying to solve it, no? And then we think in consulting and management, management in reality started with the machine, no? And this is Wright. He was a guy from Lancashire in UK, and he built the first machine, no? The first machine for tellers, no? And the point was that he started to build machines. He started to build the hierarchy, division of labor, managers and functions. And what he did was creating the first model of a factory, no? And this factory, he was a guy that thought that efficiency was good for everyone. It has a sense of purpose, no? And he wanted to build a better world for everyone. And the point here with this guy is that many people saw how he worked, how he organized everything, and most of the people started to copy himself, no? To copy him, and trying to apply the knowledge and the experience and the processes to other different businesses, no? Like other type of industries. And also some of the disciples moved to the US and started to build also the same model of factory, you know, with adaptations. So we started to have a lot of scale, a lot of things, but everything started from quality at scale, no? And also lowering costs so everybody can have the best apparel and everybody can have a quality of life, no? So it wasn't only about business, but many of the people that started, many entrepreneurs, when they start with a clear sense of purpose, no? Then I think they break with the purpose. And when they are old and they're rich, they get back to society as philanthropes, maybe, no? I don't know, to solve or to make up whatever they did, no? So but this is a political thing. So also we had the Prussians, no? Let me close the window because it's on top of my, no, I don't know how to do it. The Prussians, we have Moltke was a marshal. He created a system to win the Franco-Prussian War, no? And he have Krupp, who was a manufacturer of artillery, no? And he created the factories to build the artillery and to run the system. And he created, obviously, all this Prussian system that you have in bureaucracy, you have in military, and also you have in the factories. So this is what was the origin of German efficiency, no? What is a huge industrial superpower, no? And we had one guy, what's called Emerson, Harrington Emerson, that he was an admirer of Moltke, this marshal, no? The designer of the Prussian army system, no? And what he did was the principles of efficiency, no? And the guy, what we do from the US was trying to put efficiency and scientific management as a force for good in society, no? And for him, he created like 12 principles. I think they're very interesting to see. And the idea was everything is moved by a purpose, social purpose, no? And efficiency should be rewarded. If you're efficient, it's not only to make capitalists richer, but also you need to be rewarded, no? And also he was thinking about automating the low part of the value chain and upskilling and educating workers, so they have a better quality of life, no? And also, we have, after Emerson, we have another guy who was called Emerson. Just a second, because I need to close this window. I don't know how. Anyway, so the idea was that this guy put hands, mind, and soul, no? And the idea was that he was thinking about purpose all the time. And he was efficiency with a purpose is equals social good. So this is more or less the origin of corporations, no? Obviously you have capitalists, you have greed, you have people that disconnect totally. And when I'm talking about the belly of the whale is because it's one moment in the hero's journey, no? Where the hero is dying, no? Before being resurrected, no? This is a moment that he confronts with the fear, with the dark side of himself, with the dark side of society, whatever. And remember in Star Wars, Luke, I'm your father, come with me. No, it's a little bit when you find the darkness, no? But the origin we have to think about in good intentions, no? Obviously you have now bad intentions that are not accepted. The people don't acknowledge that they have bad intentions, and also there is a lot of makeup, no? A lot of washing of purpose, of sustainability, of whatever, diversity, whatever. So in the end, consulting is born under this context, no? Efficiency and scientific management, no? And most of the founders of the first consulting companies, they were like first Arthur D. Little, then McKinsey, from McKinsey came Booz Allen, we have Boston Consulting. All these companies were like brains, no? They come from academy or from management, and they try to put scientific management to scale and manage much better the organizations, no? So they have a purpose because most of the people were like craftsman people. Most of the people were moved by a heavy sense of purpose, no? Of social good, no? As any founder, no? The point is that in one moment, the corporations, we said abstraction is the danger. We have this Milton Friedman, no? And he said the quote that the quote from him is only a fragment, no? But in reality, he said, the one and only one social responsibility of business is to increase profits. But the point is that he was following the rules of the game. So the problem was which set the rules, no? But the point is, the people normally they quote interestingly a part of the quote, no? And they follow the rules of the game, no? So that is, we have to set rules so the game is fair for everyone, no? And the point is that people normally demonize this guy, but I think if we think about it, he has his way of thinking. I think this is one of the problems, is that we do not try to understand how the other people think. We end up polarizing each other. But the point is that he had a Nobel Prize. So I don't think the Nobel Prize people normally. Now I think Trump. Somebody's proposing Trump as a Nobel Prize for the Israel and United Arab States Emirates agreement, no? But the point is that most of the people who had good intentions, they thought it was the best model, no? The problem is that, as we said, it got out of hand. It got like it scaled too much, and suddenly we lost the contact with reality and with our humanity, no? We have started everything, and we connected with the numbers and with the short-term rewards, whatever, no? So the point, when we start with consulting, the idea is asking you if you're a consultant, no? And I think most of us are consultants, no? When you solve problems and you follow a process with a client to achieve an outcome, you are doing consulting. No? The point is what type of consulting, but in many cases, consulting is a very huge and open definition, no? And most of the things is about, as we said, business, scientific management, best practices, and growing and scaling and predictability, and obviously to manage all these big corporations, you need hierarchies. So you need hierarchies, you need a system of classes, no? So the point is that in consulting, in corporate consulting, there's one thing, that the higher the level, the bigger the impact and the business for you. Because the upper you go, the most opportunity of decide what is the transformation agenda of the CEO, and then get all the rest of the projects, no? So when we think about consultants, sometimes we criticize them, no? And we always say that the consultants use copy and paste, no? And I don't know how many of you work in agencies, but most of us in creativity, we reuse creativity all the time. We do copy and paste many times. And Disney, for instance, you can see here, it's an expert in copy paste, no? They use not only the assets, the animation assets, but also the structure, no? And we have also that the problem with consultants, they use the same framework, but oh, okay, great. But what framework use the movies, no? What framework use the big myths and legends, no? This is the framework, the emotional framework for a project. You have the same framework of a hero's journey, the same. You start with a mission, which is a project. You are in the ordinary world. The moment you start the project, you have a lot of ordeal, death and rebirth, and then you finish the project, and then you go back, you're transformed, no? So this is a hero's journey for the client and for the consultant, no? So in this transformation journey, which is a framework, consultants normally they use it as a more rational framework, but in the end it's more of a psychological framework. It's more anthropological. It's about transformation, it's about learning, it's about growing, no? And focusing also in the process, which is about learning. Many people focus on the rewards, no? Which is when you get disconnected from your craft. And when we think why people call consulting firms, it's about advice based on experience. We did this before. We know how it works. We know the complexity. And sometimes you only can get this from big companies. You can get it from small companies, because unless you are looking for a specific solution, no? The problem with big companies is that sometimes you don't have the best people. So sometimes you have a lot of junior people, you have senior people. So getting the best people sometimes is difficult, no? Then strategic planning, which is having a high-level view of the corporation and helping the corporation in defining a strategic plan, because the organizations are very big. So these guys normally, since they move from the bottom, just touching the numbers of the corporation, and they go up and they go to different clients and different industries, they start to see the patterns and the frameworks. No? So they are able to see what is the big picture and helping the client from a very high level position. No? In fact, many of the CEOs in companies are ex-McKinsey, ex-Boston, or investment banking, no? Whatever it has this level of abstraction, so you can manage huge structures. No? Then you have search support, which is temporary. You need the people on call, you need a service, you need a workforce on demand, talent on demand. And also you need a little bit of audit, analysis, and control. No? The analysis, for instance, sometimes when the clients call a consultant, they already know what they want to do. The idea is that they need a third-party validation and somebody to talk about the project or the strategy from the outside, no? Without having the stakes in. No? And traditionally, consulting was about operations and costs, because it was about optimizing the corporation, optimizing the hierarchy, making it work more flexible, reducing costs, finding new business, but they were incremental. No? So what they bring to the table are special skills and capabilities. Consulting companies invest a lot in training and also in experience for the consultants. They have industry experience. If you have, for instance, I worked in insurance, finance, and telecom in many industries, and I know many of the things because I have the chance to work with people that have a lot of experience. So it's a continuous learning experience. No, you have the right people around. That's important. No, because as we said, you have the light side, but you have the dark side, like in any business. No, then you have workforce on demand, when you need people, and also people that are able to understand what technology platforms are relevant and how to operate with them. Because in the client, they don't know. Many of the clients are, for me, are dying, literally. Many corporations are totally dying, and they're totally trapped. They don't know how to get out of this. And you have a lot of employees. The NAT with COVID is going to be, or the COVID is going to be taken advantage by many organizations to clean all the fat, no? Because they have a lot of people that they don't do anything because they didn't engage with the work. They are not trained. They've been like kept on a side, no? And they got slipped. So the point is that we have now a huge problem with big companies, because most of the workforce, when you enter in a big company, you see that maybe 20-30% of the people directly are not doing anything. So it's one of the drama of the situation, no? And I think it's a problem because I think this is they call it diversity, ageism, with the people are old, and also talentism when the people don't have talent. And I think if we want a real equal society, we have to take into account the people that are older and the people that they don't have a special talent, no? Because they have a right to live. So this is more or less the challenge that we have. Normally, you could optimize an organization, and then the costs of laying off people, of the restructuring, were externalities. Now, finally, they have a social impact and they recognize. So companies are trying to take into account the social impact of all these efficiencies and restructurations. No? And also when we think about the business, it's a business that is huge. No? You have, for instance, this is the revenues in the last years. No? And you have, for instance, the companies are like, for instance, Accenture is 500,000 people, no, around the world, no, and IBM is 352, no, and then you have the small and the boutiques, which are the boutiques now at scale, usually traditionally known as strategy companies like McKinsey, Bain, and BCG, Boston Consulting, which is what called the MBBs. They are smaller, they're private, so they don't have to report the revenues, but sometimes the people as competitive intelligence, they try to understand what is the revenues. You have the big four, which are the tax and audit companies that they started. Arthur Andersen, for instance, the father of Accenture, as Andersen Consulting, was the audit company, and Andersen Consulting, sorry, was the consulting arm of Arthur Andersen. We have the situation with Enron and Arthur Andersen, as we said, the dark side. No, you have many scandals with many consulting companies doing the wrong thing. No, projects that are crap on one side, and on the other side doing the things that are not ethical or legal. So there is a lot of ethics inside of the company. But sometimes you have obviously people that kiss the dark side, no, the dark ring of power and money. No? And then you have the technology companies, like Accenture, IBM, and Cognizant. But most of them are trying to do more or less the same. They're trying to do strategy consulting, technology consulting, and also process and organizational consulting. So the point is that they started from different points, but they are converging in the same market. So Accenture normally didn't compete with Deloitte or McKinsey, and now Deloitte is one of the biggest competitors of Accenture. And Deloitte is a tax and audit company. It's an advisory company, but they are entering technology, they're entering digital, and they're entering in experience and digital strategy. And the portfolio, for me, when I see this, for me, it's really, really boring. No, it's like very complex. It looks like the silos of the organization. No, you have the strategy on one side, operations, which is running the business, human resources, which how you manage people, how you organize people, so they provide value. How do you hire people? How do you reward? How do you organize the people around the operation? No? Then you have financial advisory, which is about the numbers, and you have also technology, which is about the platforms, the processes, and the tools that make the company run at scale. No? So this is more or less the traditional services, and they sound very corporate. No? But the funny thing is that I saw a lot of companies grow, and in the end, they replicate this. They start to have this situation. So it looks like more or less it's a pattern. In Google, there is a lot of, Google is one of the clients of consulting companies, for instance, or Facebook, or YouTube as a Google company. You have a lot of Facebook, as I said, Uber, Apple, Disney. You have a lot of companies that look very aspirational. In the end, they have something like this. So this is more or less, as we said, the belly of the whale. No, this is where all the numbers, all the machinery, all the corporate guts are moving. No, and it's quite complex. No? Because sometimes there are a lot of overlaps. No, but it's quite complex, as I said. And also another thing is about that the organization is based in matrix, in a matricial model. No. You have on one side in the horizontal the functions, which is strategy, operations, technology, and outsourcing. Each one with the teams and the disciplines and also you have the services, and then you have in the verticals the industries. No, so you have a strategy for energy and utilities, and then they start to get like verticals. I'm expert in strategy in energy and utilities. No, I'm a strategy cross industry guy. No, so the point is moving through your boss in your function or your boss in the industry, and then you have another one which is the markets. No? So you have many matrices around the world, and also they are subject to geopolitical tensions. No? So we are working with China, we're working with the US, we're working with the European community with different cultures, we're working in Israel, we're working in Brazil. So we are living through everything, no? And it's in the end, it's like Templars, no? As we said, it's like the religion of capitalism and efficiency, no? And business and scale, no? So, but in the end, you are seeing most of the political movements, and also you are seeing most of the changes in the market, no? And also working with platforms like Google, Apple as a client and as a supplier. We see a lot of the changes that are happening in the market. No? So we have a huge view of things. And also, when you have a good technology department, you have a big responsibility, because it's not about creating a PowerPoint. It's about making the business run. No? And in the case of COVID, many consulting companies put in record time, moved many of the companies and employees to the cloud, so they could keep working and not closing the doors. No? So the point is that with a great power comes a great responsibility, no? And this is one of the points, no? And we have to rule it through ethics, purpose, whatever, because we can lose the objectives, no? And what we are doing this, no? But as I said, as any organization, you have different cultures, and cultures of light, cultures of darkness, no? Like anyone. And also, when we think about the organizations, if we think about the DNA of the organizations, for instance, if we think about, this is from LinkedIn, they are the data from the employees. IBM, for instance, is an engineering, India, and computer scientist dominated company. No? So you can see that there is a technology and a big pyramid with a lot of people in India in delivery centers, no? Like Accenture is more or less the same, no? You have a lot of people from the University of Mumbai, but most of the people working in Accenture are in India now, no? In Deloitte, for instance, is an accounting company. You see why? Because most of the people are accountants. They have consulting, they have technology, but most of the people have studied in the Institute of Chartered Accountants. So it's a fiscal and tax company. And this is interesting what you see. The bottom of the pyramid of a company, which is that what sets the dynamics, and when you see how they are trying to move away from the old business to transform themselves into another thing, no? And McKinsey and Boston are more or less similar companies, no? They come from elite business schools. They are in the US mostly, and they are mostly in consulting, business development, and whatever. So they have digital, they have technology, they have some operations, but in the end, the DNA, the bottom of the pyramid is business, no? So you have more or less like a DNA of organizations here, more or less described, no? And then also, like in Egypt, in the pyramids, in consulting, there are also classes, no? On the right side, you have, in the center, you have the people in the organization, the C-suite, no? That are asking for services, and in the left, you have the consulting and service companies, and on the right, you have the disruptors, more or less, no? And in the case of consulting companies, the top companies are the MBBs, no? Bain, McKinsey, and Boston, and they're the ones that talk to the CEO. It's like it's like the Apple, the status, the Apple of consulting, no? So they are the ones that are able to enter in the CEO boardroom and build a trusted relationship, no? And obviously, they are aspirational for everyone, no? They are private companies based on model of partnership, and they're very aspirational for many people, no? They are everybody wants to be, as I said, they are the Apple of consulting, no? The point is that they have a more glamorous life. They get the best positions when they leave the company. And there is they have an alumni network that is very strong. So they are all the time connected. No? They come from the business school, then from these companies, and then they get a connection, and they create like an elite of connected people. No? In the CFO, which is the Chief Financial Officer, you have Deloitte and the Big Four, Deloitte, Ernst & Young, Pricewaterhouse, whatever. In the CMO, which is the Chief Marketing Officer, you usually have WPP, Publicis, whatever. Then in the Chief Human Resources Officer or Chief Operation Officer, you have Capgemini and Accenture, and the CIO and CTO, which are technology, you have Accenture, IBM, Infosys, whatever. So you have more or less, there are classes, no? You have the brains, you have the more or less the operation, and then you have the machines, no? The muscle, no? And the point is that most of the companies, since their business where they are playing is getting dry, they're trying to move around and getting everything. No, they want to get everything. Accenture is building Accenture Interactive, and Deloitte and IBM with IBM Interactive and all this digital move to enter in the CMO area, selling on one side marketing, but on the side also technology. So you have artificial intelligence powering campaigns and powering creativity. And you have companies like McKinsey, for instance, that 40% or 30% of revenue comes from operations. So you wouldn't say you thought it was PowerPoint. It's not. No? And then on the right side, you have other companies like Microsoft entering with the CEO, trying to sell their services, and also small companies of like Uber for consulting companies, no? Like Eden McCallum, which is about freelancers, Newton, which is about artificial intelligence to get all the data and make the decisions faster, and Amazon, which is entering in the part of the technology. No, so the market is a mess now. It's chaotic. No, and the point is, how can you collaborate, acquire, compete, invest, whatever, in a market that is so fragmented and so chaotic now? And regarding the size of the companies, if you see here, this is the market capitalization. Any consulting company could buy almost all the big media conglomerates. According to market capitalization, they are big. But when you see all the consulting market, which is bigger than this, but with market through market capitalization, and also the media companies, you see Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, or whatever, they're nothing. No, so it's it's about scale, as we said, no? And the point is that they could even buy all the consulting industry and not having any problem. But the point is that these companies, what are good at? All these digital companies are very good at having good margins and having a lot of value, no? They have good margins, a lot of scale. So the point is that these are the numbers between market capitalization and employees. If you see Accenture, the number of employees for capitalization is totally big. This is based on a pyramid of meat, no? Like the pyramids. It's not automated, and the money doesn't come from algorithms or data. The money comes from people paying services to clients. You know? So we can see that most of the digital escalators or the most big tech is doing a lot of work and reaching a higher market capitalization with a fraction of most of the consulting companies. No? So they use the consulting companies to manage the systems, to implement their own products. No? And also, through this, what is one of the challenges of the consulting companies? Is creating the center, no? Which is what, if you read Gary Kasparov about the center, is about how you can combine artificial intelligence capabilities and human capabilities to build something that is much better than both on each one of the sides. No? So the people in consulting companies, as in many other companies, are trying to augment the intelligence so you can have data and take decisions in a faster fashion. No? And because now all the data is taken by analysts, no? From Excel, from a system there, from a report there, trying to create a quantitative vision of the corporation. No? So the point is, consulting companies now, the holy grail is trying to build this center, no? Which is the super or the Uber consultant, no? Which is a guy that has the best tools, has access, and can decide and react and adapt to any change in the market. No? So this is about consulting, no? A little bit the market. We saw a little bit what is the origin, and now the idea is, as we said, when anything grows, sometimes you find the dark side, no, of the places, no. And this is a quote that I use a lot in most of the talks I gave into the Creative Incubator. I have this quote from Nietzsche, no. Like he says, "He who fights with monsters might take care lest he thereby become a monster. And if you gaze for long into the abyss gazes also into you." No? So this is what happens when you have this scale. You have rewards, you have incentives that take you out of the human condition, no, of the path of purpose. No, you start being lured by the material rewards, by status, by power, by glamour, by whatever. And this is the problem with corporations. No, you have all these people. Obviously, everybody wants to reach the CEO because there is an aspirational life. It's like, I'm powerful, I have status, I fly first class, I have the best dinners and lunches in the world. I put the hours, okay, but my life is glamorous, no? And also you have the same with investment bankers, with a lot of people. The problem is that many of them, they become monsters. Sometimes they know it. Sometimes they just negate everything. I'm not a monster. I'm a good person. Look at my family. No, you're a person. You have to be a good person in both sides. No? And they make a disconnection between what they work in and them as people. No? And so there is the conflict is here, no? in the corporations. When you grow too much, when you buy into the power thing and the glamour thing and whatever, and you want a career, whatever it takes. No? And these organizations is a very competitive culture, no? So the point is that in the end, the people start stabbing each other, no? And this is one problem that is killing consulting companies, no? The people are starting to realize that they need to collaborate, not compete against each other, no? And the culture at the beginning in consulting companies, there was a lot of good culture, no? A lot of people helping each other, a lot of people feeling they were doing something with purpose. They were creating a discipline. They were inventing something. No? So they felt ownership of the work they were doing. No? And it happens also in agencies. It happens in startups. You know, Uber, when they started, and what is Uber now, doesn't have anything to do. No? So they have this teenage moment, no? When they have to kill Travis Kalanick to get mature, no? A little bit. So this is a little bit about scale and about psychology, sociology, and understanding that not everything is black or white, but it's gray, no? And it's sort of conflict in anything that is related to work, life, and business, no? And for me, the interesting thing is I work in the beginning of the internet, when the internet was very naive, no? When people were starting, I started with the first startups in Spain. Use the BBS groups. If you read the Snowden book, you can see the description at the beginning is about how the internet, which started as a surveillance system, but a military system, but it started to have this counterculture thing, no, about this motto of go where you want, see what you want, make what you want, say what you want, join who you want. No? This was the promise, no. And at the beginning, it looked everything like a good idea, no. The point is that, as I said, when it scales, when it grows, it loses contact, no. And then with growth, as we said, come abstraction, no? And abstraction is good if you use it for good, but if you use it without any purpose, it could be bad, because you depersonalize everything, you dehumanize, no? And you disconnect from nature. In the end, consulting and corporations is about urbanizing everything. As you can see, it's about glass, flights, restaurants. It's about, if you want to go to the nature, you have to go on the weekends, no? Or buying a house. But the point is that you are totally disconnected from nature. So you, when people talk about sustainability to many of these guys, they don't know about nature. They see in postcards, no, and these documentaries, but they don't see nature at all. So they feel a disconnection. And there are many people proposing companies to do things in nature so that they can reconnect, so they can respect and get back to that. No? For instance, my children, when I was a kid, I was in Asturias, in my homeland, it's in the north of Spain. You have a lot of cows. And we went to the farms, no, and in the country all the time. It was a very rural community, you know. And my children, when they go to a farm, they go to a farm that is prepared for urban kids. It's like an attraction, no. And they come and say, "Oh, cows smell horribly," no. And for me, it was the normal thing. For them, no, because they're totally disconnected, no. And that's the point. This is what happens with, I think, with education, with the business that we are having now. That is totally disconnected and it's against nature, no. The focus is on markets and quarterly results. It's about competition all the time. You're competing with your peers. You're competing with the client. You're competing with other inside the industry. You're talking a lot of time about acceleration and turbulences. So all the time in a moment of stress, seeing what is next. It's not about disrupting all the time, like it's a schizophrenic way of living for many people. So normally you have a lot of people trying to be mindful, no, and relax, no. It's about also extractivism and externalities. When you extract something and when you break anything, the problems are, if you follow the regulations, are not your problems, because the regulations are normally wrong. CO2, you have a lot of laying off, whatever of the things that are, you're following the rules, but the rules are allowing you to create these externalities without any consequence. No? So now you have this ESG investment that is putting the social back into the reporting. No? So you have a lot of people pressuring for responsible investment. No? You have inequality, obviously. You have all these hierarchies. So in the top to the bottom, you have huge differences, no? And they're almost exponential. No? The money that you have as an analyst, as the money that a CEO has, obviously, the difference is huge. No? And also there is a lot of alienation, no alienation, and lack of purpose, obviously. If you feel that you're being exploited, you feel that your work has no purpose, if you feel that you're trying to survive and get keeping your job just to pay your mortgage and keeping your family, and also sacrificing your personal life, obviously you are totally alienated, no? So you can feel happy, no? So this is the dark moment of corporations, no, and consulting, no, that is about numbers, about growth. Still about that, we have to be careful about all these people talking about purpose, but internally it's the same. And there are people that are trying to build this purpose, no, and there's also another tensions, which is you have another structure that is not moving, and the CEO is trying to lead, so it has to be hard with the people, because the people don't want to change, because the company is going down and down and down and down. No? So it's a lot of tension, no? And it's interesting to see it even as a movie, no? As a Game of Thrones. So as I said, many people in organizations are dying inside. No, totally disconnected from life and from meaning and from nature. So we need to think in a different way of doing things, no? And this is why I join teams or companies when I leave. Normally when they scale too much, my brain doesn't work. It's more like a networked brain. We're talking about TDH at the beginning. It's about, my brain is about connecting a lot of things and seeing patterns. I don't see lines, for instance, no? So the point is that what I feel many times when the company starts to professionalize, I think is important, because we wouldn't have any healthcare systems or transportation systems. All the systems that we have, we need a scale and we need organization. But for me, it's when I start to get lost. No, I need to more close connections, more creativity, more sparks. No, and the point is that when you have these big hierarchies and processes, you start to feel like you're part of a machine. And this is what happens with many people. This is what you have the serial entrepreneur, no? The people that is all the time, when they build a company, they repeat the pattern and then they leave and they start building another and another and another, and they repeat the situation in all the jobs that they have, no? Because some of them, they work well in a more bureaucrat and more stable culture, and some of them, they need a lot of starting new things, no? Then, as we said, there are new metrics. We have new types of leadership. For me, it's incredible what most of the
we have 10 more minutes.
Yeah, I think I'll finish. I don't know how much is left, because as I said, the presentation was done bespoke for you, so I don't know what's left. Okay.
Yeah, go
So
ahead.
5 plus 5. Okay. Okay. So we were talking about also that sustainability is not enough. Not business as usual, not green, not sustainable. It's not enough, because the damage is done. So we need to change and we need to reverse. So it's not about being CO2 neutral. It's about being CO2 negative. So all the people that are saying I'm sustainable, but they're eating meat and we're flying, this is the conflict, as we said. No, if I'm a good person, what I'm doing this against my beliefs? No, I'm killing the planet. No, it's very funny when you see all this. We talk about sustainability and we're taking flights all the time and we are having a life that is not sustainable anymore. No? And when creativity enters, the idea was a way to enter in a new market, which is media, and escaping from commoditization. So I don't want to sell PowerPoints. I don't want to sell technology. Let's see what is the next business. So they enter in the agency space. No? And by intention of accident, focusing on the experience in marketing, communication, and designing, transforming the technology into experiences, companies rediscovered empathy and started to think as humans, no? Because you have to do research, you have to talk with real people, you start having information for the clients, for the employees, so you start to connect with the human side and you start to develop the empathy, no? And not everybody, as I said, this is not empathy, everybody, the purpose, no, sorry, not everybody leads to the purpose, no? But the point is that working in the creativity space started to see, these big companies started to see that is another way to approach to work, no? About creativity, not having a big career, but being proud of your work. So it's totally different, no? So the companies have this part, no? They started the traditional one, which was about the Faber consulting, I call it, which is about IT, build systems, build tools, technology. You have the Sapiens consulting, which is about the business, about the processes, about the business model, about the industries. It's about how to combine the machine and the numbers, no, to extract the most value possible. No, the problem is that this is very mature, it's very commoditized, and you have in India and other places people doing the same work very, very cheap. And you have also artificial intelligence killing the platforms, killing the work of many consulting companies. No, and then in the matrix we add these new types of business, which is marketing, design and innovation, artificial intelligence and data, and Industry X. So at the beginning, they were started as new markets, this new business. At the same time, in some cases, about the experience part, the design part is humanizing everything from the operations, the strategy, making it a little bit more human-centric, and finding a connection with sustainability, with other things. No? And this is the new ways of doing consulting. No? And most of the companies are converging there. You have the Ludens, like the Homo Ludens, no? Experience, innovation, strategy. No? It's about intuition, creativity, and ingenuity. No? It's about playing, no, and creating together, no. And also you have the Deus, like in Yuval Noah Harari, the Deus consulting, which is about artificial intelligence, algorithms. It's about humanizing technology, you know. So in the end, we have a situation when, with all of this, all the consulting offices and many corporations look like Starbucks full of hipsters. So you can see this is Boston Consulting website, TED Talks, like Starbucks Place. You have, this is Accenture with these young people. They don't have suits anymore, and workers. You have McKinsey with the biller table. You have these hipster guys in Pricewaterhouse. You have this in IBM. And then what you have is a totally new way of doing consulting. On the one side, you have the business, which is more like rational. On the other side, you have the innovation, which is more like geeks and creative people. The geeks for the artificial intelligence and data, and the innovation people. They are much about playing, about much more creative people. No? So in the end, you have consulting companies and also corporations. They have different cultures now. So for instance, I have to get along well with the IT people, normally, or with the business people, but I'm from a totally different career. No, my aspirations in life are totally different, and sometimes I feel more connected with a creative guy in McKinsey than with the business guy in my company. No, so because you have like a sense of community, of guild, of craft, no? and this is what happens. No, the guys normally goes from craft to career. No. So the point is when you get to career, you get the abstract and you start disconnecting. No? So the point is that in the end, consulting, what it did with experience was creating the Kodak moment. No? This is like Google and many other companies. They created you press the button and we do the rest. So consulting is very complex. So why don't we create some interface? No, why do we transform? Why don't we start from experiences and we transform technology into experiences? Why don't we use less PowerPoint and we create more products? We work in agile products. We work in a more creative way. Why don't we try new things instead of having these big projects that take a lot of risk and we fail, we are fucked, no? And also, how can we adapt the language to new buyers? No, the corporate language is like an old dialect. No, it's like very, it's terrible, synergy and all these things. No, the point is that we have to humanize and talk, because now you have the CMO, you have the CIO, you have a lot of people buying technology, using technology. So you can't speak the same way that you used to speak in the old time, no? Unless you have people that are the same of your discipline. No? So the point is that in the end, as we said, experience, creativity, and whatever started to transform not only the clients, but also how we work. No? We started to use design thinking, more creativity workshops with business people that sometimes they are pretty tough with their minds, they're very square. But we try to change everything, no? And we feel sometimes we go to the dark side, sometimes to the light side, sometimes we laugh, no? You have sort of moments, difficult moments, when you're working with a client you don't believe in or you don't like, or with a colleague, because as I said, we are moved more, the creative people generally, we are moved more doing good, or at least our concept of good, no? It's not, it doesn't mean that a consultant is a bad person, because they are not. The problem is that they have a different mindset, no? So the purpose, as we said, is about then trying to connect the purpose, and we saw this the other day, with the business bottom line. No, this is about the quality, the customers, the profit, the quality of the products and services, the jobs and the salaries, the employment, the everything. No, and the point is, and this is a challenge because it breaks in many of the parts of the chain. No, but the point in the end, I think, we as creative people, the creative people in consulting companies, you see a lot of young people that they have a total different aspiration. They don't want the career as the traditional consultant. The consultant enters in a company, they start for some years, they make the career, they leave to make a career in a corporate environment as a manager or whatever. No? But the point is that now the culture is so different that you have to find a way to combine the aspirations of everyone. No? And we have this, it's about new products that demand new processes, new cultures, new ways of working, new materials, new supply chain, new ways of working with more responsibility. We have this, as you saw the other day, we have companies that are entering into this. It's about how can we communicate and make the purpose visible in the products, not only like a corporate sustainability in one side, like a tax that I pay because I'm being bad, no? To compensate for the externalities, like airlines with a carbon offset. No? And then we have also the big companies, because most of the problem with data centers, when we move to the cloud, and Europe is going to have hundreds of new data centers, is that they get a lot of, every Netflix video, every YouTube video, every WhatsApp, it has a carbon footprint. So the point here is that through artificial intelligence and optimizations, we are trying to optimize and create new ways of a digital economy that is sustainable. Because at the moment, most of the data centers are run by gas and oil. Except Microsoft and Google are trying to optimize, and they are starting to buy renewable energies. But this is one of the challenges now that we have in the digital economy, that we are creating a lot of carbon footprint. So finishing, the idea is that if we see this is the ways of doing consulting now. You have the traditional one with all the business guys with the PowerPoints, whatever, but you have also the communities. The young people. This is the FIOR office in Berlin, but you have other people working this way. Like even in technology, even in business. They have a different way of working. You see it in many consulting companies. The point is that the people that are running the companies are the old guard. They have an old mindset yet, and they are being incentivized yet by the old ways. And they have a lot of things to lose. They have big houses, status, whatever. So most of the incumbents, what they're trying to do is trying to keep this, and the business is built on top of these ideas. You have a lot of global connectivity, a lot of innovation, like the esports. For me, consulting companies, they want to have people that are going to look more like esport players than consultants in the future, because everything is going to be so real time. You will need totally different new ways of interacting with the business, with new interfaces, more creative, more engaging. This is gamification, turbo gamification, and then everything is going to be global. For instance, in my case, my team is virtual. I work in a team that is global, and I see them every now and then. So the point is that the new consulting is more cross-industry, is more cross-discipline, has a cross-culture, has different ways of doing careers. So this is the point that is changing. Jamsit, I'm finishing. I think it's the last. Let me see if there is a thank you. No, and this is the last one. So this is the last graph. The idea is that in the end,
Go ahead.
you have. Sorry. Go.
No, talk, because in 2 minutes.
This is the last one. For me, it's about don't sell crap and then buy crap. So that's the point, And this is what happens with when you put the advertising to some type of companies, There is a ethical issue for many people. People don't care. I'm a professional. I do whatever it takes. Normally, consulting companies were in charge the dirty jobs of restructuring, of getting the ugly parts of things. But there is a lot of people now doing walkouts, about climate change, about inequality, about race. You have a lot of CEOs talking about diversity and also starting to hire people of different races in the board, which is one of the problems. But the point is that we're still in the belly of the whale. I think consulting and corporations are dying, and I hope they die, really. I hope they die in a good way. I mean, it's a sacrifice to be reborn in a different, with a different way. And I think we have an opportunity. It's not about criticizing, it's about criticizing the past. It's about understanding why the past took us where we are now, because as I say, many of the people, and I see a lot of people funding companies now and 50 years old, so I saw a lot of startups becoming big. When they become big, the purpose is a little bit at risk, so they have to reconnect again with it, But because they're trying to grow and keep the business running, so they lose the perspective, So the point is trying to understand the past, why are we here? Trying not be judgmental, but a little bit more compassionate with the people that are trapped in the system and they want to make a change. And instead of criticizing, I think that people that innovate, that they are really creative, they depict a new way, a new world, and give initiatives and they give solutions. So this is for me the key of the new way of doing consulting. It's not about comply with your client wishes and be servile attitude. Is about also challenging the client and also put your purpose on the table. So, as I said, it was totally made bespoke for you today. I hope it's more or less clear. But as a summary, we come from corporations. We're in corporations. Consulting has been there, and the system now is ossified. It's getting too hierarchical, too disconnected from reality, and a lot of people are struggling to connect again with nature, with purpose, and with humanity. And I think it's an opportunity, and we have to think in terms of opportunities and not in terms of criticizing. So let's design tools, methods. Let's connect with people that are similar. Let's try to share with people that are innovating, and let's try to build the right thing. So this is my final message before I die.
Super. Thank you very much, Luis.
Thank you. I hope it's useful.
And Luis, I have to cut you out right away. I can't let questions come through. We try to see if we can connect with you tomorrow. And those of you digital, go and have your like physical break and come back. We do the same. And then Luis, I see you probably tomorrow. I write to you later.
Okay.
Thanks a lot for
Bye.
everything.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye. Take care. Enjoy. I'm envious.